What if I told you that the reality you live in isn't as solid as you think? That your struggles, your circumstances, even the people you encounter are not separate from you but reflections of your own mind? What if you could wake up tomorrow and rewrite your entire existence? Not by changing the world outside, but by shifting the assumptions inside you. Neville Goddard spent his life revealing a truth so profound, so radical, that most people dismiss it entirely. He taught that the world is not happening to you but responding to you, that what you see, what you experience, what you believe to be real, is nothing more than the projection of your inner consciousness, like a dream playing out on the screen of your life. And just like a dream, the moment you take control of your imagination, the entire simulation begins to shift in your favor. Right now, you are inside a waking dream, and the question is, are you controlling it or are you letting it control you? Most people live life as if they are passengers, reacting to circumstances, chasing after things, hoping and wishing for change. But they never realize that reality is simply a reflection. The external world is a mirror of your internal state. Everything you experience is shaped by what you assume to be true. Your deepest beliefs about money, relationships, health, success are the silent architects of your life. And here's the secret they never tell you. Reality is not fixed. It is fluid, shapeable, and entirely dictated by your imagination. Neville taught that imagination is the only reality, not in some metaphorical sense, but quite literally. When you assume something to be true, when you persistently hold an inner conviction, the world around you has no choice but to conform to that assumption. It is law. The law of assumption states that whatever you accept as true in your imagination will crystallize into physical form. This means that you don't have to fight circumstances, chase outcomes, or rely on external effort. You only need to assume with full certainty that what you desire is already yours. This is where most people get stuck. They look at their lives and say, "But this is my reality. These are my limitations. This is my bank account. These are my struggles." But they don't realize that their reality is simply the product of past assumptions. It is the echo of previous beliefs playing out in physical form. If you want to change what you see, you don't fight the reflection, you change the source. Think about it like a mirror. If you stand in front of a mirror with a frown, you wouldn't try to reach into the glass and force the reflection to smile. That would be absurd. Instead, you simply smile, and the mirror reflects it back. Your life operates in the exact same way. What you hold in your mind, your inner dialogue, your dominant emotions, your unwavering assumptions, are constantly being mirrored back to you in the physical world. So the question is, what are you assuming? Right now, whether you realize it or not, you are assuming something about yourself. You have an identity, a self-concept, that dictates what is possible for you. If you believe you are unlucky, if you believe money is hard to come by, if you assume relationships never work out for you, life will confirm these assumptions. Not because they are objectively true, but because you, the creator of your reality, have accepted them as true. But the moment you change your assumption, the simulation begins to shift. Neville often said, "Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled." This is not wishful thinking. This is not hoping or begging or trying. It is a deep, unwavering conviction that what you desire is already yours. When you assume something fully, you no longer question it. You don't check for evidence. You don't wonder if it's working. You simply live from that reality as if it were already fact. This is why most people fail to manifest. They hold an assumption for a few moments, but then immediately return to doubt, fear, or their old way of thinking. They check their bank account. They look for external proof. And when they don't see instant results, they revert back to their old state of being. But the world does not operate on instant gratification. It operates on the momentum of belief. Think about a seed. When you plant a seed, you don't dig it up every hour to see if it's growing. You trust that in time it will break through the soil. Reality works the same way. Your assumptions are seeds and they need time to take root. If you persist, the world has no choice but to rearrange itself to match your new state of being. The key is to persist until the assumption hardens into fact. Neville called this living in the end. Instead of hoping, instead of waiting, instead of looking for signs, you step into the identity of the person who already has what they desire. You feel the emotions, you think the thoughts. You carry yourself as if your wish has already been granted. And as you do, the outer world begins to shift in ways you could never have imagined. But here's where most people get it wrong. They think they need to force things to happen. They think they need to work harder, try more, take massive action. But that's backwards. The world is not responding to your effort. It's responding to your state of being. When you shift your inner state, the external world bends to match it. Think about the times in your life when you were in a state of absolute certainty. Maybe you just knew something was going to happen. Maybe you had a gut feeling, an unshakable belief, and sure enough, the thing you anticipated unfolded perfectly. That wasn't coincidence. That was you, operating the way you were always meant to. That was you, unconsciously using the power of assumption. Now imagine what happens when you do it consciously. When you stop reacting to the world and start dictating the world. When you stop seeing yourself as a victim of circumstances and start realizing that the circumstances are flowing out of you. What if, right now, you dropped every doubt, every worry, every limiting belief and simply assumed that everything was working in your favor? That your dream job, your ideal relationship, your financial freedom was already secured. That there was nothing left to worry about because the script had already been written. How would you feel? How would you walk? How would you think? This is the secret. This is how you break free from the illusion of limitation. The only thing keeping you from what you want is the assumption that you don't have it. The moment you shift that assumption, the reality around you has no choice but to follow. Think about this. Every single moment, you are shaping the simulation around you. It is not something happening to you. It is something happening through you. The only reason it feels like reality is fixed is because you keep assuming the same things, thinking the same thoughts, feeling the same emotions, and expecting the same outcomes. But the moment you change your internal world, the external world shifts. This is why Neville emphasized the power of living in the state of the wish fulfilled. Most people live in the state of waiting. They wait for proof before they believe. They wait for things to change before they feel different. They wait for their circumstances to align before they act as the person they wish to be. But that's not how reality works. Reality is a mirror, and a mirror can only reflect what you put in front of it. Right now, you might feel like you're stuck in a loop, like no matter how hard you try, things don't seem to change. But here's the truth. The loop exists because you keep assuming it does. You keep waking up every morning expecting the same struggles, the same financial limitations, the same relationship patterns, and because you expect them, they persist. But what happens when you stop playing the game by those rules? Neville often said that the most powerful thing you can do is change your assumption, not based on evidence but based on will. This means you decide. Right now, you decide that things are different. You decide that your reality is shifting. You decide that you are already the person you want to be. And here's the part most people don't understand. It's not about forcing change. It's about sinking into the feeling that it's already done. The feeling that you no longer need to strive, because the outcome is certain. Think about the last time you ordered something online. The moment you hit purchase, did you doubt whether it was coming? No, you knew it was on the way. You didn't wake up the next morning in a panic, wondering if it would arrive. You simply trusted that the process was unfolding. This is the exact same principle that governs reality. Once you assume something with full certainty, once you live from the end, the details take care of themselves. The world must reorganize itself to match your assumption, and it will happen in ways you could never predict. That's because your conscious mind is limited. It can only see a small fraction of what's possible. But your subconscious has access to infinite intelligence. It knows exactly how to bring your desires to you in the fastest, most effortless way. But here's where most people block their manifestations. They assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled for a moment, but then they check for signs, they look for proof, and the moment they start searching, they return to the state of not having it. Neville called this keeping the Sabbath. It means resting in the assumption. It means you no longer need to worry, check, or control. You assume it is done, and because it is done, you relax. You let go. You trust that what you have set in motion must unfold. This is where the real power lies, because when you truly assume something, when you embody it as if it were already real, you don't need signs, you don't need external confirmation, you already know, and that knowing is the force that bends reality. Think about the most successful people in the world, the ones who seem to have everything go their way. Do they look like they're constantly questioning, doubting, or second-guessing? No. They carry themselves with certainty. They expect things to work out for them, and so they do. And here's the secret most never realize. They are not lucky. They are aligned. Their success, their ease, their confidence is a result of their assumptions. They assume they are winners, and the world mirrors that back to them. They assume money flows effortlessly, and so it does. They assume opportunities always present themselves, and so they do. And the best part? You can assume the same things, right now. This is not reserved for a special few. There is no cosmic lottery that determines who gets to succeed and who doesn't. The universe does not play favorites, it simply reflects. So what are you choosing to reflect? If you assume struggle, life will show you struggle. If you assume ease, life will show you ease. If you assume that you are destined for greatness, the world has no choice but to shape itself accordingly. This is why Neville's revision technique is so powerful. Most people believe the past is set in stone, that their traumas, mistakes, and failures are permanent. But that is just another assumption. So Neville taught that you can rewrite your past by changing the way you remember it. Because here's the truth, the past only exists as a memory, and a memory is nothing more than a thought, and thoughts can be changed. Think about it like editing a movie. If you take out a scene and replace it with a different one, the entire storyline shifts. The new version becomes the truth. Your mind works the same way. If you take a painful memory and rewrite it, if you imagine a different outcome, a different reaction, a different experience, your subconscious accepts the new version as truth. And because your subconscious determines your present reality, the moment your past is revised, your present begins to change. Neville demonstrated this countless times. He had students rewrite past arguments, past failures, past disappointments, and watched as their relationships, careers, and circumstances transformed almost instantly. Because here's the secret. Time is not linear. Every moment, past, present, and future, exists simultaneously. The only thing that keeps you locked into a version of reality is your belief in it. The moment you shift that belief, the past dissolves, and the future rearranges itself accordingly. This means you are never stuck. No matter what has happened before, no matter what mistakes you think you've made, you can rewrite your story right now. Close your eyes and think of something in your past that you wish had gone differently. Maybe it was a missed opportunity, a painful breakup, a financial loss. Now, imagine fully, vividly, and emotionally that it went exactly as you wanted. Picture the scene, feel the relief, hear the words you wish were spoken, and then accept that version as the truth. This is not fantasy. This is the mechanism by which reality reshapes itself. Most people remain stuck because they replay their failures over and over, reinforcing them as facts. But you are not most people. You are awakening. You are beginning to see the simulation for what it really is. A projection of your inner world, constantly shifting, constantly responding to your state of being. So the only question that remains is, who do you choose to be now? You are not bound by your past. You are not a prisoner of circumstance. The only thing holding you back is the belief that you are stuck. But if you can shift your assumption, if you can see yourself as limitless, powerful, and already in possession of everything you desire, then reality must conform. It is law. Most people hear this and think, but how? How do I start seeing myself differently when my reality keeps showing me the opposite? The answer is simple. You ignore reality. Neville called this denying the evidence of the senses. It means you do not let what you see dictate what you believe. Instead, you let what you believe dictate what you see. The problem is that most people live reactively. They wake up, check their phone, look at their bank account, observe their circumstances, and let all of it reinforce their current state of being. But if you truly want to shift your reality, you must assume first and let the world catch up. You must step into the version of yourself who already has what you desire. You must think their thoughts, feel their emotions, and walk through the world as if nothing needs to change, because in your mind, it already has. This is where most people struggle. They say, "I'll feel abundant when I have more money," or "I'll feel loved when I find the right person." But that's backwards. The moment you decide to feel abundant, the money comes. The moment you decide to feel loved, love finds you. Everything in your life is a mirror. If you constantly check your circumstances, waiting for something to change before you allow yourself to feel different, you will stay stuck in the loop forever, because the mirror cannot reflect something that is not yet present within you. So how do you break the cycle? Neville gave us a simple, powerful technique, SATs, state akin to sleep. Right before you drift off at night, when your mind is in that hazy, relaxed state, you are in direct contact with your subconscious. This is the perfect time to plant new assumptions. Instead of replaying your worries or thinking about what went wrong in your day, you deliberately imagine a scene that implies your wish has already been fulfilled. And here's the key, you don't just visualize it, you feel it. If you want wealth, you don't just picture money in your hand. You feel the excitement, the security, the confidence of someone who has already mastered abundance. If you want love, you don't just picture a partner. You feel the warmth, the connection, the certainty of being deeply cherished. You loop this scene over and over in your mind, sinking into the feeling until it feels real. And then, as you drift into sleep, your subconscious takes over. It absorbs this assumption as truth and begins reshaping reality accordingly. Most people underestimate this practice because it seems too simple. But reality is not built on effort, it is built on assumption. And here's the most powerful part. It doesn't matter how long you've been stuck in a situation. It only takes one assumption to shift everything. Neville shared countless stories of people who changed their lives overnight using SATs. People who were broke and suddenly received unexpected money. People who were lonely and found love within days. People who were sick and suddenly healed. Because here's the truth, nothing is set in stone. The world around you is a dream, a projection of your consciousness. The moment you assume something new with full conviction, the dream must shift. So right now, take a moment and ask yourself, who is the version of me that already has what I desire? How do they think? How do they walk? How do they feel? And the most important question, why am I not being them right now? If you want to wake up in a new reality, you must first wake up in your mind. You must become the person who already has what they desire. Not tomorrow, not next week, right now. Because here's what they don't tell you. You are already living in a parallel reality. Every possible version of you already exists. The version of you that is wealthy, successful, deeply in love. It's not in some distant future. It is here, now, waiting for you to step into it. The only thing keeping you from that reality is your attachment to the one you're living in now, and that attachment is built entirely on belief. So, what happens when you shift your belief? Reality shifts with you. Most people are waiting for a sign, waiting for permission, waiting for something external to confirm that they are allowed to change. But you don't need permission. You don't need signs. You don't need validation. You only need to assume. Right now, decide. Decide that your life is shifting. Decide that you are stepping into a new reality. Decide that from this moment forward you are no longer bound by the old story. Feel the shift. And here's the final key. Persist. This is where most people fail. They assume something new, but when the outer world doesn't immediately change, they revert back to their old way of thinking. But reality operates on momentum. The longer you hold an assumption, the stronger it becomes. If you persist in the new belief, the world must conform. It has no choice. So, will you be someone who wavers, who gives up at the first sign of resistance? Or will you be someone who holds the assumption until the world bends to match it? Because here's what's waiting for you: a life of ease, a life of abundance, a life where things work out for you effortlessly, because you expect them to. This is not magic, this is not luck, this is law. And the moment you choose to step into it, really step into it, your world will never be the same. So tell me right now, who do you choose to be? Because the moment you decide, reality starts moving, the simulation starts shifting, and your new world begins. The choice has always been yours. It was never about luck, never about external forces, never about some cosmic gatekeeper deciding who gets to thrive and who doesn't. It has always been about you, the assumptions you hold, the state of being you occupy, the reality you choose to accept. But most people don't realize they have a choice. They have spent their lives reacting, believing that their circumstances are something they must fight against, something imposed upon them. But now, you see the truth. The simulation was never controlling you. You were controlling it all along. Think about what this means. If your external world is simply a reflection of your internal state, then nothing outside of you has any real power over you. Not your past, not your struggles, not your fears. The only thing dictating your life is what you assume to be true right now. So let's test this. For the next few moments, stop everything and assume something new. Assume with full certainty that your biggest desire has already manifested. Imagine what it would feel like if, right now, in this very moment, you had exactly what you wanted. How does your body feel? How does your mind feel? Doesn't the weight lift? Doesn't the struggle dissolve? Hold on to that feeling. Breathe it in. That feeling is your new reality. Now, here's the part that most people miss. Don't abandon it. Don't let doubt creep in. Don't let your old thoughts pull you back. Don't check the mirror for proof. The moment you do, you've stepped back into the old story. Instead, carry this feeling forward. Make it your new default. Let it settle into your bones. And as you move through your day, act from this state, not as someone who is hoping for change, but as someone who already lives in the new reality. Neville called this living in the end. He didn't say waiting in the end. He didn't say hoping in the end. He said living in the end. This means that from now on you are not someone who is trying to manifest something. You are not someone who is waiting for things to happen. You are the person who already has it. This is how you break free from the illusion of limitation. This is how you command reality instead of reacting to it. Because here's what they don't tell you. You are not here to struggle. You are not here to chase. You are here to create. You are here to realize that everything you seek is already within you, and the moment you claim it as yours, the world will rearrange itself to match your assumption. Think about this. Every single thing that exists in your life right now was once an assumption. The job you have, the relationships you hold, the way people treat you. All of it is simply a reflection of what you have believed to be true. So what happens when you assume something different? Everything changes. And the best part? You don't have to wait years, months, or even weeks. The moment you shift your assumption, you have already entered a new reality. It doesn't matter if the world hasn't caught up yet. It will, but only if you persist. If you can hold the assumption longer than doubt can creep in, if you can commit to the new belief even when there is no immediate evidence, then reality must conform. It has no choice. This is not philosophy. This is not wishful thinking. This is the fundamental law that governs reality. And now that you see it, you can never unsee it. So, what will you do with this knowledge? Will you continue living by the old script, bound by limitations that only exist because you keep assuming they do? Or will you rewrite the simulation entirely? Will you decide right now that everything is shifting in your favor, that nothing is off limits, that success, abundance, love, and fulfillment are not things you have to earn, but things that are already yours? Because the truth is, there is no external force keeping you from what you want. The only thing standing between you and your desires is your belief that they are separate from you. So drop the belief. Drop the illusion of distance. Step into the identity of the person who already has everything they want, and watch what happens. Because once you commit to this shift, once you claim your power fully, you will see the world bend, twist, and rearrange itself in ways you never thought possible. You will see doors open effortlessly. You will see synchronicities unfold in perfect alignment. You will see people, places, and opportunities magnetized to you as if by magic. But it's not magic. It's simply you, operating in alignment with the truth of who you are. And the truth is, you are the creator. So from this moment forward, no more waiting, no more wishing, no more playing small. You are powerful beyond measure. You are the architect of your reality, and reality is already shifting in your favor. The simulation is waiting for your command. So tell me, right now, what will you create next? You have always had this power. You were never meant to struggle, never meant to be trapped in cycles of doubt and limitation. The only reason life ever felt hard was because you were playing by rules that were never real to begin with. But now you see the truth. You are the creator, the architect, the master of the simulation. There is no force outside of you dictating your life. There is only you, your assumptions, your beliefs, your expectations, and the reality that forms in response. So let's make this real, right here, right now. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, and decide. Decide that your life is shifting. Decide that everything is falling into place for you effortlessly. Decide that from this moment forward, the version of you that is abundant, confident, and limitless is no longer some distant dream. It is your new default state. Feel it, let it sink in, because the moment you assume it, it is done. No more checking for signs, no more waiting for proof, no more questioning. You are no longer someone who is trying to manifest, you are someone who already has it. This is your new reality. And now, all that's left to do is persist. Persist in the new assumption, no matter what your eyes see, no matter what your senses tell you. Because reality is just a lagging reflection of past beliefs. And the moment you stop giving attention to the old story, the new story takes over. This is how you break free from the simulation. Not by forcing, not by chasing, but by realizing that you were the one in control all along. So here is your final challenge. For the next 7 days, live as if your dream life is already here. Not halfway, not with hesitation, fully. Wake up each morning as if the version of you has already succeeded is stepping into their day. Think their thoughts, feel their emotions. Carry yourself as if there is nothing left to chase, because there isn't. You have already won. And as you do this, watch how the world begins to shift. Watch how opportunities appear effortlessly. Watch how people treat you differently. Watch how things start to align in ways you could have never predicted. And when they do, you will know. This was never luck. This was never coincidence. This was simply you finally stepping into your power. So the only question left is, what reality will you create next? Because the simulation is listening, and it is already shifting in your favor.